I watch my brother and brothers-in-law as they navigate this world, this environment. And I look at younger dads, and frankly, I think they are doing a better job than I was doing. And I think I did a better job than my dad and his dad did. It's sort of how the world's supposed to work. But I think there also is this desire to step on the gas and redefine what being a partner is like and being a father is like, and sort of where are we? Are dads doing a better job? Darby Saxbe is a professor of psychology at the University of Southern California. She's written a book called Dad Brain, the new science of fatherhood and how it shapes men's lives. And she's with us on the John Schuster Coldwell Banker hotline right now. Professor, thanks for being here.
Thanks for having me.
The day after Father's Day, how do you answer that question? Do you think today's dads are doing it better?
Well, I do think today's dads are putting in more time, and that's certainly what the research is suggesting too. So if you look at time diary studies where you're asking men, how are you spending your time hour by hour, day by day? The amount of time that fathers are devoting to childcare has tripled, almost quadrupled just in the last couple of generations. So compared to baby boomer dads, millennial dads are doing dramatically more hands-on childcare. And if you ask men what's important and meaningful in your life, increasingly they're likely to say fatherhood and my relationship with my kids.
When you have studied the research on fatherhood and on the way that being a father changes a man, um, all of us think about our own experience. And certainly for me, being a father has taught me, I don't know, it's taught me to step outside of myself, to think about others, to be more empathetic and compassionate and understanding to the bumps and the challenges and the twists and turns that life bring. What have you found? You found that fatherhood changes more than just sort of that psychological outlook that I just mentioned.
Right. So fatherhood does change our sense of meaning, our sense of purpose, our sense of connection to other people, our values, but it also changes our physiology. So in my lab, we've followed men from their partner's pregnancy all the way through their first year after having a child. We see changes to the structure of their brain. We see changes to their hormones, and we see changes to their health. So we know fatherhood can change our body weight. Dad bod is real. We know that it can change our sleep quality.
Yeah.
So, across a lot of different
all
dimensions.
of those for sure. And
yep,
exactly. that does that show up in the data differently? Like, I always wonder, are things really as different as people feel like they are? You know what I mean? There's this recency bias, and we've all seen it. Every parent thinks that they're like the first to ever go through a lot of these things that are the same. But undoubtedly, society is different today. Some of the social media challenges you have with parenting, the comparing, but weren't our dads comparing to other dads just in different ways? I mean, are things really that different today?
Well, I mean, I think people have been trying to keep up with the Joneses for many generations, but certainly the kinds of pressures that are on contemporary parents are new. So the Surgeon General just a couple years ago released a report saying parenting stress is a public health crisis, that parents have higher stress levels than non-parents, and that those stress levels have been increasing over the last couple decades. And I think it is partially the social media, like you said, like navigating technology and social comparison. You can see absolutely everybody else's standards of living just from your phone. So,
Right.
you may be less content with your own lifestyle, but it's also, we have higher expectations of parents. When I was a kid in the 80s and 90s, I could roam around town on my own and I would ride my bike and be gone all day. And today's kids get a lot more supervision. There is less trust. Kids are less likely to be allowed to just kind of wander in their neighborhoods. And so parents are really on, and I think they feel a lot of pressure to structure their kids' lives with a lot of formal activities, and that takes a lot of time and energy.
Do we know if that approach is going to have positive results for kids?
Well, the evidence suggests that it might not be having positive results because kids
Well,
feel
that's
less
what I think, but
confident. And
I'm an old Gen
yeah,
Xer, so of course I think
me
like
too.
I like the way that
Yeah.
these kids, and by kids I mean millennials, but the way these kids are parenting is to me feels very smothering. I know the world can be scary, but part of being a kid is like falling on your face every once in a while. But then I wonder, like, am I just being an old man? Just like my old man probably thought like I was too involved in going to all my kids, sports practices and games and whatever.
Right. I don't think it's all good or all bad, right? I think it's a mixed bag. It comes with more stress. And I think in some cases, kids get less freedom. There's lots of evidence suggesting that they're less social. They're
Hmm.
more afraid of failure. They're taking fewer risks. So, in some ways, kids are benefiting from more parental investment and more time. And I think, parents are less harsh than maybe they were a couple generations ago. They're a little more on top of their kids' lives in ways that can be valuable, but I also think it's hampering kids' sense of resilience in some ways too.
Darby Saxbe is a professor at the University of Southern California, where a significant portion of the DeRusha family finances are currently being sent for my for my USC
Oh, nice.
business student who
Go Trojans.
yeah, well, I mean, based on the amount of money we're spending out there, he's having a great experience too. So it's pretty good. Darby has
Excellent.
written a book called Dad Brain. One of the things, Darby, that you found that I found fascinating is that we know that new mothers uh, have a change in hormones in their body when they have that new baby. And that idea that there's this physical bond is there. But you found that new dads who spend a lot of time with their kids have almost identical, is that right? An almost identical change in men's brains and men's hormones too?
Yeah, it's not completely identical, but it's really similar, and there's a lot of areas of overlap. So we see that when men are really involved with their kids and they're devoting a lot of time to parenthood, their brains are changing in really similar ways to moms across a first time parenthood experience. And we also see dads' testosterone levels shift, their oxytocin levels are changed by interacting with their kids. Their levels of a hormone called prolactin might be affected as they prepare for parenthood. So, a lot of the same hormones that we can measure in moms are showing up and they're playing a role in dads too. So, to whatever extent we're involved in parenting, we have this parental brain and body that helps prepare us to be sensitive caregivers.
Which seems good, right? And we're also in this moment where there's this nationwide obsession with with testosterone. But
Yeah.
there's some at least there's a countervailing idea that maybe this temporary reduction in testosterone is a good thing. It makes you more understanding or more empathetic or more of a family man instead of like a, kind of horny college student.
I have a whole chapter in the book about testosterone, what happens to testosterone in new dads. And it's true, we're living in this moment of fascination with supplementing T, having high T levels. We have, even in our politics, people are talking about leaders who are low T. And the point I try to make in the chapter is it's not about high T or low T being good. It's really about, do your hormones help to set you up for the demands of your environment? And if what is needed from a child is your sensitive care and your presence, then high T that's going to make you competitive and going to make you seek out more mates, that may not be helping you. You want high T when it's time to find a partner and you want to have lots of opportunities to reproduce. And then it's natural for T to drop
Hmm.
after you've accomplished that goal and it's time to settle in and parent. And T can fluctuate across your lifetime to help support whatever it is that your goal is in that stage of your life.
It's very interesting. It's very interesting because you start worrying about this stuff. Like I went and had my T tested, And I
Mm.
and, you know, by the way, we're fine. You know, I think people have this idea you're high or you're low, and it's like, I think most people are probably like, "You're fine. Is it better that I know? I don't know." So, it's sort of this societal pressure that you need to look at this stuff
Mm.
where,
Mhm. Yep.
as you look at fatherhood, and one of the reasons I wanted to talk about this is I do think culturally, we talk a lot about right now, we're in a moment talking about the importance of family, the importance of having children. Your
Mm.
research really looks at the impact of family on children, the impact of parents, of fathers. Where do you think we're at as a society right now? I personally, I feel like we're maybe moving in a good direction, an understanding of like, you know what, this family stuff matters. Having a
Mm.
strong father, a strong mother, or two strong mothers or two strong fathers, there are ways you can make it happen. But having a strong father does matter.
I think we are recognizing that. And it's interesting, during the pandemic, a lot of men reported that they were suddenly getting more time with their kids than they had had before,
Mhm.
because all of a sudden folks are working remotely, you're not commuting a long distance. And instead of those trends in men spending more time with kids, instead of that going back to normal as the pandemic lifted, that uptick has persisted. So men are choosing to spend more time with kids. I think it's interesting that, that rebound you might have expected to see in the data after the pandemic didn't really happen, because I think men had more time with their kids and they said, wait, this is actually fun and this is valuable. And so men are kind of voting with their feet. And I think we are recognizing that having kids is an important way to build a legacy and find some meaning. At the same time, the birth rate is dropping. So lots of people are opting out. So,
Yeah.
those trends are moving in different trajectories depending on who you are.
Yeah, that's so interesting because the data, I think I read some data point that was looking at the percentage of, 25 to 45-year-olds who are dads, married dads. And in the 80s, it was like 40 something percent, and now it's in the low 30s or something like that. Like
Right.
pretty drastic numbers of people opting out, which as a dad, like, look, I don't want to tell people how they should live their life, but being a dad is unbelievable. Like, it's the greatest thing I've done in my life. And being a dad isn't that moment when you know, it's not the moment of fertilization. It is the 21 years of being there for your child.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I think if men are missing out on that chance, they are losing something valuable that can make your life richer.
Yeah. Really appreciate the research and the time. The name of the book is Dad Brain. Fascinating stuff from Darby Saxbe, University of Southern California. Darby, thanks so much. Appreciate it.
So great to talk to you. Thanks.
Uh, Weigh in at 651-461-9226. One texter saying parents are starting to go back to letting their kids roam free. My 5 kids have no personal devices and spend most of the day outside playing, even in winter. I'm definitely hearing much more interest in how do we have our kids spending less time on devices? How do we delay them getting devices? Um, to me, it's no impugnment of anybody did this wrong. It's just we've learned more, and we know that there's benefit to letting those kids uh, be kids without having technology in their face.